Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. I'm dealing with a very important book this morning which affects everyone actually. It's called Elder Law. Its subtitle has got Involving European Perspectives. It's been edited by Ann Numhauser-Henning and it's available both as a book, an ebook and online from Elgar Publishing Limited. It's part of the Norman Elder Law Research Environment publications. I've given it the title for our review, an important new contribution to this massive legal time bomb of an ageing population, because that's really what this is about. These books are difficult. Let's have a look at the book first of all. These books are difficult because we don't want to face the reality of what could happen. There's the front, there's the side, and then there's the back. Many families today are affected by elder law, problems of dementia and so forth, and this is a subject that used to be never really discussed, but it is now being discussed more than it ever was before. So there's an interesting quote on the back of the book which is always worth reading. It's a hardback and it runs to something approaching just under 400 pages. There's a detailed index at the back which is on page, it's actually page numbered, and you can see from that you can find things pretty quickly from the information concerned. The last chapter is looking at dementia and autonomy. You can see there you've got some numbering and you've got a nice little conclusion section and you've got all of the footnotes at the bottom, and as I say, the index itself is relatively short but very much the house style of Elgar. Now this is the front part of the book here, and again you've got the details about online if you need to do that side of it. This is the structure of the book with the contents section. It's got three main parts: an introduction, conceptual and theoretical perspectives, and elements of elder law. And the names of the individual authors are included in each of the chapters. There are 15 in total, ending up with dementia at the end. And then there's a list of the contributors. Anne has done a very good job, I think, here with the work. There's a lot of people involved in this from Sweden. And then there's an important preface, which I will quote from in the review. Then after that, we get to a list of the publications from Norma Elder, Law Research Environment, of which there are a large number, and then we go on from that to the table of cases, and after that we go straight into part one and the introduction. And do have a quick look at Anne's introduction because it does set the scene. The aim of this book is to introduce the research area of elder law in a European setting, and more specifically how this field has been understood and developed within the Norma Elder Law Research Environment since the programme started in 2002. So that's where it comes from. I think it's a valuable piece of research at a time where we are beginning to face very serious problems concerning what I call the legal time bomb of the ageing population, because that's what it is, and it's something that we've got to start paying more attention to, whether we like it or not. I'm affected by it, as many people are, and when it's your own kith and kin, you find out very quickly what the realities are all about, what your responsibilities are or not if people won't take responsibility, and where the state comes in and all the other things that are involved. So it is an important area because this is not something that's going to go away, and it's we have to be very realistic about what our resources are and how we approach these problems. So what do we say about the book in this short review? Well, the law relating to the elderly is a matter of growing international importance for the world as advances in medicine create an increasing ageing population without the sustainable infrastructure most countries need in order to deal with the legal complexities as they evolve. And to meet this challenge then, Elgar have produced this fine new work called Elder Law, which, with the subtitle, as I've said, Evolving European Perspectives. Comes from Sweden, the work, but I think it's a very valuable contribution. Now the editor, as I say, is Ann Numhauser-Henning, and she says in her synopsis that the ageing of the population poses a huge challenge to law and society, carrying important structural and institutional implications. Absolutely so, but often ignored. The book, in her words, therefore, aims to introduce the area of elder law in a European setting. More specifically, it looks at how elder law has been understood and developed by the Norma elder law research environment since the programme started. And this was actually founded at the Law Faculty of Lund University in Sweden. Now, elder law, says Anne, is now seen as an emerging research discipline in the European setting in terms of both conceptual and theoretical perspectives, as well as elements of law. She goes on to say that the subject of her work provides a deepening understanding of population ageing in terms of vulnerability, intergenerational conflict and solidarity. Expert contributors highlight the necessity for contextualising ageing concept. Now, I know there's some fairly interesting words there, but you get the general drift, I'm sure, and that is it is looking at trying to understand what some of the problems are in a much more adult fashion. We've tended to want to ignore a lot of this in the past and put it down to things like generational strife between teenagers and their middle-aged parents and so forth. But those days have gone, and I think we've got to look at this from a very different point of view, and that's really where the Swedes are coming from. As well as offering a comparative analysis of active ageing policies across the European Union, this book examines a range of topics including age discrimination in employment and the freedom of movement of EU citizens from the ageing individual's point of view. And that in itself is a massively controversial problem, bearing in mind Britain's decision to leave. And of course, much of this content, as I say, will remain relevant for the foreseeable, notwithstanding Brexit. The book describes elder care developments, discussing the ageing individual's autonomy in relation to both traditional inheritance rights and growing instances of dementia. That in itself is a big problem, as I've indicated before. Dementia law is something that is growing in importance. We don't really have the correct legislation, frankly, in the United Kingdom from what Parliament has already passed, and it may well be that there'll have to be more safeguarding legislation, in my view, probably in the next decade or so, probably way after I've gone, but at least that's something that we've got to look forward towards the middle of this century. And I do think that that's an important factor for us all to bear in mind, because we've got to deal with what is this particular time bomb. And it's been, of course, this book has been printed in response to the increased presence of ageing concerns, which were detected in both EU policies and its laws at the turn of the millennium. We knew it was coming, but we haven't really been that prepared for it. We're going to have to start doing so. And of course, we agree, Elizabeth and I agree, that elder law is both an engaging and timely work. It's highly relevant to academic scholars and students in the relevant areas of law. It does cover a wide area of laws as well, of course, if you think of it, as well as those studying across the social sciences at a time of increased importance for elder law across the world. Now, finally, let me just say that Anne has reviewed a broad range with the contributors of socio-legal issues in relation to demographic ageing, and we think it will also act as a general information point for legal practitioners and policymakers alike in the decade to come. So thank you very much to Anne and all the people involved in this publication. I also like to say a big thank you to Elgar for continuing to provide these really high quality pieces of scholarship for us. They make our research much easier, and they do help with some of the main issues that we face today. The publication date, of course, is cited 2017. Quick look at the book again. There's the front spine, and then there's the back. And as I say, there are a lot of people worried about this subject matter, and I'm not surprised at all. If we open the book in the middle, this is the Rationales of Government Action on Ageing, EU Trends, right in the middle. You can see the structure, some numbering there, some footnoting. The content is quite detailed, but it does draw up, because it's looking at it from a much wider point of view, not just individual countries. It does actually bring up some very important points, because, for instance, it goes on rationales of government action there, and then lists of analysis of values and objectives for underlying ageing and employment, for instance, one particular area. So you can see, when we're all expected to live until and work until we're at least 70, we've got to start thinking again about the way we do things. I thought this was the most important book, and I'm very grateful to everybody who's participated in producing it. A big thank you to all. Bye-bye.